Damien was taken aback by this information and muttered to himself in disbelief. He had never heard of the Priest of the Apocalypse or the Black Cult before. He read further and saw that Karen's level and age were unknown, and he was described as ill-tempered, warning Damien to be cautious around him. He couldn't believe what he was seeing and questioned whether the Black Cult was some sort of pseudo-cult. Karen, the 7th chief priest of the god Shaka, was enraged upon hearing the term pseudo-cult being used to describe his beliefs. He declared that he would spread the gospel of the apocalypse across the land after defeating the Queen of the Gods. Damon tried to calm him down, but Karen ignored him and attacked. Damon managed to dodge Karen's first attack, but he was surprised by the force behind it. Karen attacked again, but Damon dodged once more while calling him a crazy old man, and wondered about the destructive power behind Karen's blows. Karen taunted Damon, impressed by his ability to dodge, and challenged him to continue dodging. Damon took a deep breath and tried to steady his nerves. He knew that he had to face Karen, the priest of the apocalypse, and survive this trial. Karen looked like he was on the verge of senility, and his actions were clearly that of a seriously insane person. Damon wondered what he could possibly do in this situation. As he was lost in thought, Damon received a notification that Karen was displaying hostility towards him. He looked up and saw the old man staring at him with wild eyes. Damon braced himself for a fight and wondered how he could possibly defeat this crazy old man. But before he could even take a step forward, Damon received another notification. It was a quest, and he had to survive Karen's trial to progress. But what surprised Damon even more was that it was a mainstream quest. Damon stood still, lost in his thoughts about the importance of the mainstream quests. These quests were only given to a select few users and could decide the future of the game. The impact of the user's actions on the world of AC was immense and could potentially change it completely. But as he pondered on this, he couldn't help but wonder what an old man had to do with the mainstream quests. Before he could finish his thoughts, Karen interrupted him, attacking him with a sharp remark, demanding to know why he was just standing there like a dumb log. Damon quickly dodged the attack, but he couldn't help but think about the old man and his possible connection to the mainstream quests. Memories of his own experience as the battle god flooded his mind, particularly the time when he was tasked with defeating Abraxas alongside the 6 masters in the treacherous Abyss dungeon. He knew that the success or failure of these quests could have a massive impact on the world of AC, and he was determined to clear them no matter what. Suddenly, Karen caught Damon off guard once again, attacking him while berating him for hesitating. Damon knew that he had to act quickly, so he chanted a mantra and activated a skill called Bloody Impulse. He made a decision to stop overthinking and calculating, and instead approached Karen with sincerity and his basic impulses. Damon braced himself for the upcoming battle, knowing that he couldn't afford to lose. He was determined to succeed in the mainstream quest, no matter the cost. Karen's eyes blazed with fury as he charged towards Damon, his fist pulled back in a powerful punch. The impact was devastating. The ground shook violently, and the force of the blow sent shockwaves through the air. Karen's powerful punch had caused an explosion, and as the dust settled, he shouted in frustration towards Damon, asking how long he was planning to keep running away. Damon had activated his zombification skill and managed to survive Karen's attack. Karen wasn't done yet, so he started attacking him again. As he dodged Karen's onslaught, Damon wondered why Karen was so strong despite not being a martial artist. Enraged by Damon's ability to dodge his attacks, Karen yelled at him to hold still. Despite Karen's angry shouts, Damon continued to dodge and noticed that he could see Karen's movements better than before. As he gained distance from Karen, Damon thought that if he could stall for time, he could survive the fight. However, his thoughts were interrupted when he saw Karen gathering energy between his hands. To Damon's surprise, Karen prepared a Kamehameha pose and taunted him, asking if he could dodge this attack as well. Damon, shocked and bewildered, exclaimed in disbelief. Karen then launched his attack, shouting "Die." This time, Damon had no chance to dodge and got hit by the attack. After the explosion, Damon found himself on his knees, but he was still alive. Suddenly, a notification sounded, indicating that there were only 2 seconds remaining. Karen, who was nearby, was impressed by Damon's sturdy body and complimented him on his physique. Damon responded with a hint of modesty, saying that it was nothing compared to Karen's. As the notification reached 1 second, the countdown ended, and another notification chimed in, saying zombification has ended. Damon felt relieved after escaping this near-death scenario. But the next notification brought him good news: you have cleared the quest Karen's trial. Karen, who had been silent until that moment, spoke up with a hint of sarcasm, remarking that Damon's mouth was still functioning despite the ordeal they had just gone through. Damon retorted with a hint of pride, saying that he now had to live the life to the fullest since he had obtained this opportunity. Karen then asked about Damon's power of darkness, which he had noticed earlier. Damon confirmed that he possessed that power and asked if Karen recognized it. Karen responded to Damon's question with a smirk, indicating that he recognized Damon's power of darkness. He mentioned that as the chief priest of the seventh god Shaka, he couldn't possibly miss it. Damon asked Karen about the seventh god Shaka, and Karen responded by praising him as the best god of Arcia. He explained that Shaka was the lord of darkness and apocalypse, incomparable to Arya, and he is the greatest of all the gods. Damon was a little confused, thinking that the 6 great gods were supreme goddess Arya of the light, Phoenix of fire, Nysa of water, Tenasil of tree, Oriet of iron, and Crowd of earth. However, he realized that there was no way the system would lie. Damon simply nodded, and Karen then took the opportunity to get straight to the point. Damon got ready to listen, thinking that Karen was finally getting to the point after causing all this ruckus. Karen then asked Damon if he wanted to become stronger, mentioning that otherworld adventurers desired fast growth and strength. Damon was taken aback by the suggestion, but before he could respond, Karen actually suggested that Damon become his disciple. Damon was taken aback by Karen's suggestion and began to walk away while bidding him a farewell. This seemed to anger Karen, who hit Damon on the head with a hand chop and demanded to know where he was going. Damon retorted, calling Karen a senile old man. This only served to rile Karen up more, as he began to boast about the power of Lord Shaka and how even someone like Damon could become an absolute ruler if he became Karen's disciple. However, Damon wasn't convinced by Karen's claims and challenged him, asking if he would believe it if he were in Damon's position. Karen was taken aback by this, but he eventually relented and showed Damon a book, hoping to convince him to become his disciple. As Damon examined the book, a notification sounded, informing him that the Apocalypse Invocation, the Book of the Black Covenant, were radiating a faint light. Damon was puzzled by this, and as he looked at the book, another notification popped up, saying that the mainstream encounter with the seventh god had been activated. Karen then explained to Damon that the book was a divine object and the only tool that would allow him to meet Lord Shaka. Damon was skeptical, but Karen instructed him to open the book. As Damon opened the book, Karen warned him not to make any further movements. Confused, Damon looked back at Karen, only to see him attacking him with a dart blower. Damon was hit by the dart and lost consciousness. When he woke up, he found himself in a cave-like structure, muttering in frustration about Karen's actions. As Damon was trying to process his thoughts, he received a notification telling him new location information has been updated, but his current location was still showing as unknown. Suddenly, someone appeared in front of Damon. As he looked up to see what it was, he found a small boy standing in front of him. He looked at the boy carefully, trying to discern if there was anything unusual about him, but couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. The boy, on the other hand, seemed to be completely unfazed by Damon's presence and started dancing around him. Damon, feeling a bit annoyed at the kid's antics, told him to stop fooling around and asked where they were. The boy stopped and looked at Damon carefully before commenting on his scent. Damon, confused, started to smell himself before the boy confirmed that he liked Damon's scent and asked if they could be friends. Damon was taken aback by the boy's sudden request and couldn't help but wonder what was going on. Damon asked the boy if he had any friends. The boy's response was an angry one, insisting that he did indeed have many friends. He even went so far as to offer to give Damon a friend of his own. To Damon's surprise, the boy then pointed to a group of chicks that were pecking around on the ground nearby. They soon began to flock around him, playing and chirping with enthusiasm. The boy was clearly proud of his feathered friends and insisted that they were all his loyal companions. Damon was touched by the boy's kind gesture and agreed to be his friend. They shook hands and the boy declared that we are now friends. However, after the boy declared that they were friends, Damon suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed. Damon slowly opened his eyes and gasped for air. He felt disoriented and confused, trying to piece together what had happened. As his vision cleared, he noticed Karen sitting beside him. Karen asked how he felt, relieved to see Damon conscious. But Damon's frustration and anger boiled over, and he lunged at Karen, catching him by the throat. Karen struggled to break free, but Damon's grip tightened around his throat. In a moment of desperation, Karen headbutted Damon on the forehead, causing him to stumble backwards. Damon felt the world spin as he began to fall backwards. In that moment, he heard a notification alert. Status effect. Your character is in a critical condition. Until you have recovered your strength, your character is unable to move. Realizing that this wasn't the first time he had found himself in this situation, he thought,
"Oh shit, here we go again."
Damon slowly opened his eyes and saw Karen sitting in front of him once again. He winced at the pain in his head and muttered to himself about Karen's thick skull. Karen asked what he had said, but Damon quickly brushed it off, knowing he couldn't afford to anger the old man any further. Damon thought to himself that Karen may look homeless and senile, but he was incredibly strong. He knew he needed to swallow his pride and follow Karen's lead if he wanted to survive. Karen then asked about Damon's conversation with Lord Shaka, and Damon stumbled over his words, unsure of what to say. He eventually admitted that Lord Shaka had asked to become friends. Damon's response surprised Karen. He explained that friendship was a relationship of brotherly affection, and that Lord Shaka had internally decided that Damon should become his successor. Damon was confused and tried to ask for clarification, but Karen interrupted him and said that he just needed to follow him from now on. Karen laughed and Damon wondered if it was really alright to go along with this plan. Suddenly, a notification appeared, signaling that Damon had cleared the mainstream encounter with the seventh god. Damon sighed and reassured himself that this was a good thing. Karen motioned for Damon to take a seat, and the two of them settled down to hear what Karen had to say. Damon couldn't help but wonder if they were going to meditate or do something spiritual. But Karen quickly dispelled that notion and said that he wanted to talk to Damon about their upcoming plans. As Karen began to speak, Damon's mind started to wander. He thought it was just going to be an old story, something he'd heard before. But then Karen started to talk about the 7 gods of their land. Damon was intrigued. Karen explained that the circle of life and death was well balanced, thanks to the god of creation, Area of Light, and the god of the apocalypse, Shaka. However, one day Area approached the other 5 gods, expressing her concern about Shaka's power of destruction. She suggested that they restrict it, and although there were differences in opinion, they ultimately decided to go ahead with the plan. The war between Lord Shaka and the 6 gods began, and it was fierce. The heavens shook, and the earth split open. It went on for a long time, and even though Lord Shaka was the god of apocalypse, he couldn't handle battling all 6 gods. Eventually, he was defeated, and he left everything else to his family, falling into an eternal slumber, maintaining only his divinity. The 7th god became forgotten by the people. Damon listened to Karen as he spoke about the history of their world and the absence of Lord Shaka. He couldn't help but think that Lord Shaka's family member was the senile old man. However, as Karen continued to speak, Damon's understanding of the situation deepened. He realized that Lord Shaka, who was the source of all darkness, was actually the pillar of balance that kept everything in place, and due to his absence, evil was created. Damon understood the gravity of the situation and the importance of what Karen was asking of him. Karen revealed that he had roamed the continent for thousands of years, searching for a force powerful enough to defeat Area and the 5 gods and resurrect Lord Shaka. He asked Damon if he was willing to become his disciple and the sword of Lord Shaka to defeat the 6 gods, including Area of Light, and their family. Damon heard the notification and realized that Karen's wish had been activated. He was given the option to accept the quest or not. Damon's mind raced as he tried to process everything that had just been revealed to him. The forgotten 7th god, Lord Shaka, was actually the key to maintaining balance in the world. And because of his absence, the demons were born and evil had spread throughout the land. It was a daunting task, but Damon had accepted the quest to become the sword of Lord Shaka and defeat the 6 gods, including Area of Light, and their family. As he bowed down to Karen, Damon felt a sense of determination and purpose wash over him. He had accepted the role of the agent of revenge and formed a relationship with the priest of the apocalypse. The old man's laughter echoed through the room as he welcomed Damon as his successor. With a newfound sense of purpose, Damon couldn't help but think of Jiang Yuman. But now, he saw an opportunity for revenge. Once he was done training with Karen, he would be ready to face Jiang Yuman and bring him to justice. Karen interrupted Damon's thoughts and announced his departure. Damon respectfully bowed and wished his master well. However, Damon suddenly realized that something was amiss and called out to Karen. He asked if there was anything else he could teach him before leaving. Karen responded that he had already chosen him as his disciple and what more did he want from him. As Damon continued to express his confusion and disappointment, Karen took out a book and handed it to Damon. He instructed Damon to refer to it whenever he needed help and to avoid seeking him out. Before Damon could react further, Karen activated a formation and disappeared into it. Damon was left stunned and bewildered. He couldn't believe that his master had left him so abruptly without any further guidance. As he stood there in shock, he received a notification that he had been given a quest. The quest was to resurrect the god of darkness, Shaka, and defeat the 6 gods and their families who ruled the land. Damon couldn't believe what he was reading. He felt overwhelmed and unsure if he could accomplish such a monumental task alone. Damon was seething with frustration and anger. He shouted out loud, wondering how he could possibly complete the daunting quest assigned to him. He questioned whether it was even possible to clear the task. He also expressed concern about the families of the 6 gods he was supposed to defeat, especially those who had fought alongside him before: the Crimson Agnes, Siren of the Ice, Halo of the Mind, Cyrus of Steel, and Luke of the Boulder. Damon's mind was racing, and he tried to come to terms with the gravity of the situation. He knew that these families were the most powerful in the world, with abilities that were considered disaster class. Among them, the family of Aria. Jeong Yuman, the Radiant King Arthur, had obtained the infinite mana item, Infinity Circle, and was praised as the god of magic. Damon wondered if he could really defeat such powerful adversaries. However, as he thought about his comrades, he realized that there was no need to be scared. For some reason, he had been given the opportunity to come back in time, just when he thought it was the end. This gave him the determination he needed to face the challenge head-on. With newfound determination, Damon vowed to clear the quest assigned to him, no matter what the cost. He declared that he would put an end to the ill fate that had befallen him. As Damon was still processing the previous notifications, he was surprised to see even more notifications popping up. He read through them, realizing that he had acquired the Apocalypse Invocation, the Book of the Black Covenant. The notifications revealed that new clauses had been added, but due to his low level, some of the clauses were deactivated. Damon was intrigued by the possibilities the book presented, with its many abilities like Return to Village, Oracle, Rune Page, Item Appraisal, Disassembly, Synthesization, and Creation. He was thrilled to have acquired an all-in-one multi-item, something he had heard about before. Damon opened the book and was pleased to see its contents. He thought luck was following him, and he felt unstoppable. He wondered if he should test the book's ability and decided to start by disassembling an item. He selected a boar head as his material of choice and began the process of disassembling it. With a focused look on his face, he began to synthesize and create the item. After some time had passed, Damon excitedly exclaimed that the creation was complete. Upon inspection of the newly created item, Damon discovered that it was a wild boar helmet, a helmet made from a giant boar head. The helmet had impressive bonuses, including an increase in HP, magic power, defense, and all stats, as well as a boost in damage to animal-type monsters. Damon considered the worth of the item and the game's economy and calculated that it was worth a significant amount of gold. However, Damon also realized that he couldn't simply create items whenever he was low on money or he would risk becoming destitute. With this in mind, he decided to give the leather to the village head and prioritize creating items strategically in the future.